TikTok Live is a phenomenon that has absolutely taken the country by storm and has grown men choosing to remain unemployed and instead pursue a career in begging.
Can't be going $500. Live in Jamaica, I'm broke and hungry.
So where are you from?
However, this begging, when you check the stats, is actually producing some insane figures. And while you might be making fun of these guys for how they make a living, best believe that whatever you think they're making more. But to actually break this down, first we're gonna have to understand how TikTok Live even works in the first place. The live feature on TikTok is one that becomes available to any account that reaches the milestone of 1,000 followers. Once you reach that point, the world is your oyster. Essentially, your goal is to go live and get as many people to watch your stream as possible, except unlike Twitch and YouTube, TikTok will be pushing your live without any external effort from you. So all you have to do is sit back and actually be entertaining. Once you've started your yap session, vlog, or whatever other insane type of activity you've decided to chase the bag with, people will eventually start to pass through your live. It usually won't even take more than a couple minutes. And if they feel like they're enjoying what they're seeing, they can double tap the screen to like the live, which will in turn push it to more people. They can also choose to donate money in the form of something called gifts, the cheapest gift being called a rose, hence the phrase taps and roses. Essentially, every TikTok gift has a monetary value in the real world, and the way that it works is that users can take their credit cards and convert their real life money into TikTok coins, and use those coins to buy gifts to send to the TikTokers. Of course, each gift has a different price, and the prices vary based on the country's currency. The cheapest gift, a rose, is about 1 coin, which costs around 1 cent in US dollars. I forgot to mention, TikTok takes 50% of the money for themselves, so the creator is really only getting half a penny from each rose. Other small gifts like a panda cost 15 coins, which is around 20 cents. Moving up the ranks, a donut and a gamepad are both 30 coins, but the prices start to increase with larger gifts like the money gun, which is 500 coins, and the notorious gift, the galaxy, which are 1,000 coins each, and equates to about $15 from the viewer. And there are many more gifts in between. However, past a certain point, things take a very steep turn, with the next most famous gift being the one you've heard Jamaicans beg for the most, the infamous lion, which is all of 30,000 coins, and when converted to real money costs about $400 US to buy. But even bigger than that, there stands another gift, the ultimate holy grail of the beggar, and that is called the TikTok universe, which is all of 50,000 coins and costs about $562 US to buy. But one would then have to ask, what in the Lord's name would prompt a hard-working man to take his hard-earned money and send it to some dude on a screen so he can remain happily unemployed and free? Well, that's where we move to the next section of the video. You see, TikTok Live has many incentives to make viewers want to spend their money, and one of these is called live battles, otherwise known by Jamaicans as matches. Essentially, how this game works is that two creators come together on the same live and have a competition to see who can get the most gifts. Once the match is started, you will see the meter at the top of the screen, and of course, nobody wants to see their favorite creator lose, so they send gifts. Of course, the more of a fan base you have is the more gifts you will receive, and so on. Some people even take this a step further and give even more incentives, such as dares or challenges that the loser has to do. And of course, if there's some wild type of consequence they have to do as a result of the game, it gives viewers even more reason to want to participate. So with all of that being said, we now know how the money is being made, but now we have to ask ourselves, how much money are these niggas really making? Well, there's one thing I forgot to tell you. Like I said above, TikTok is taking at least 50% of the money, so that $400 lion is really looking like 200. And that might sound criminal, but best believe it actually gets even worse than that. You see, the process of sending gifts is really not as simple as you sending the money and the creator receiving it. What actually happens is that after you pay for your coins and you send off your gifts to your creators, upon the creator receiving the gift, TikTok converts that gift into something that they call diamonds. The diamonds then essentially function as the currency that the creator can take and convert it back to real money to then keep for themselves, with 1 diamond being worth 2 coins. And I know this might get confusing, so just think about it like this. Viewers have coins, creators have diamonds. If I take my coins and send you a gift, you're gonna receive diamonds. Cool? Cool. Now you may ask again, what exactly is the point of this? Why not just keep one currency instead of making 2 virtual currencies that don't really mean anything? This is because TikTok wants to take even more of the money without you even realizing. Like we said, when the viewer buys a gift, TikTok takes 50% of the money, leaving the creator with half that amount. Hence why 1 diamond equals 2 coins. The diamonds are essentially the leftover half after after TikTok takes its cut. However, when you take the leftover diamonds and convert it back to real money, it converts it at a rate of ½ cent per diamond. So just think about this, right? I spent 1 cent or more per coin. I give that to my creator. TikTok chopped 50% off of that and turned that in a ½ cent. And then now when him want to convert it back to real money, them a do it at a rate of ½ cent again. So it get chopped in half 2 times, which means that him a go basically left with just a quarter of the money. So which part the rest of your money really a go? Well, you already know the answer. And that's why when you do the math, a $400 lion will not leave you with $200, but instead far less. And listen, this is just going off the math. I see people reporting all types of figures saying it gets 150, some say 100. I guess it does in fact differ per country like I said at the start. But either way, TikTok is taking the lion's share of the money. No pun intended. However, despite TikTok keeping their extra large commission, we do have to remember and acknowledge that this is the only platform that gives you viewers for absolutely free and can not only make you essentially famous overnight, but also has pre-installed games like matches that literally have no other point than for random people to send you money. Something that Twitch and YouTube absolutely do not have. Meaning, not only is it technically fair, but these people also have far more insane numbers for live viewership than they would have on any other platform. So the money they're losing out on is actually being made back by the sheer viewership that they're getting, which means that they're still making insane money, and that's what we're all here to calculate, so let's get to work. First of all, in regards to viewership, despite Jamaica being such a small country, these people have managed to pull insane numbers. For example, popular live creator Rosalie has over 200,000 followers on both her main and backup accounts. I don't watch TikTok lives regularly, but from what I've seen, it's commonplace for big creators to pull anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 people watching at the same time. And just to put into perspective how crazy that is, these are the same kinds of numbers as some Twitch streamers who have 1 million followers. So with all of these people watching, how many are actually sending the funds? Well, it depends. You see, depending on who you are and what you're doing on the live and the strength of your fan base, or even something as small as how attractive you are or even your gender, can impact who decides to gift you and how much. A female friend of mine with absolutely no following and no experience went on live for the first time, and there were niggas in the comment section trying to look her and sending her gifts just because. Meanwhile, I have a friend with a lot of followers who went on live to sing his music and he didn't get any gifts. But I've also seen absolute brain dead degenerate fools go on live, and just because they're doing something funny or even openly blatantly begging, people are just sending the money because it's fun to watch their reactions. And so because it all depends so heavily, what we will do instead is calculate a bare minimum amount, and then afterwards I'll show you some of the maximum examples of how much money I've seen being made on this platform. So first of all, let's say that you're a small streamer who has only a few dozen people in your live, but you go live every single day and make it a point that you will not stop until you get at least one gift. It might be a money gun or a galaxy, but if you did this and perhaps added up all the random roses you got in between, after some consistent building of your audience, let's say you were able to make $10 per day, especially since some days will inevitably be higher than others. It might not sound like much, but multiply that by 30 days of consistency and that's $300, or in Jamaican, an extra 50k to add to your monthly income. So just by keeping that minimum amount in mind, with the number of gifts I see these bigger creators getting, I'm talking images and animations being flooded on the screen for like 10 minutes straight, I know for a fact they are making way more than that, possibly even hundreds of USD per stream, especially the ones who beg so much and do matches all the time. So I feel like it's safe to say that you can estimate that a consistent TikToker who has a large platform and goes live all the time, and you can visibly see the many gifts they're receiving, is probably making anywhere from 1k to 10k a month in USD, which can range anywhere from 100,000 and 1.5 million Jamaican dollars per month. And of course, depending on the person, it might be more or less, but these are just basic estimations. As for the highest examples, just for fun, I'm going to show you an example of a live I found during the creation of this video, just to show you an insane example of how big this thing can get when pushed to the extreme. I was scrolling on my For You page and came across these random Africans who have set up their camera in essentially the middle of nowhere and are jumping and screaming at the phone with intense music in the background, pretending like they're in an edit or movie scene. And believe me, they stand here and do this for hours on end and will do the craziest reactions just for a gift. And as much as this is the ultimate form of shameless begging, best believe I sat down and watched these men receive more gifts than I could even conceptualize. This live got around 20,000 viewers, and with that I saw them getting 5 galaxies per minute. And in that minute I also saw hundreds of roses and more random gifts that I didn't even know the names of. I know for a fact that whatever number I am about to calculate, they will have made more without question, but like I said, we're still going to try. After all of the conversions, a galaxy is only about $5 in the real world, but if they're getting 5 of those every single minute, that's $25. And if you add all the other small random gifts they were getting, that would bring it to about $30 per minute. Now they're doing this constantly for hours, so if we multiply the $30 per minute by the 60 minutes in an hour, that's an astonishing 1800 USD every single hour. If you've worked in America and were making $18 per hour, that would be a normal job. These people are making $1,800 per hour, and they had been live for about 3 hours that day, meaning that they made over 5,000 USD in just one day alone. And keep in mind, this is just me counting in terms of galaxies, the $5 gift. I haven't even attempted to try to calculate this with lions and universes included, but assuming at least a few people sent those in at some point, that $5,000 is probably looking more like 6 or 7K. And if they were to do this every single day for a whole month, I mean, the math feels insane to even say out loud, but that would be 180,000 USD per month, which converted to JMD is $27 million monthly just from begging. That's quite literally the Prime Minister's salary per year in just 1 month. And I don't even feel like calculating the yearly amount for this because it doesn't even feel real. Now of course, it's a bagger man in the video, which means that they're probably splitting it 10 different ways, and this income is probably taxed and people have bills and family and blah blah blah. But that's not the point. The fact is that there is somebody out there with this following who is doing it by themselves. Somebody who is established and has perfected the art of begging so well that they are able to consistently pull this off with no problems. However, there's one other type of person who's able to consistently pull numbers like these, and he doesn't have to beg for it. Pause. You see, at the end of the day, everything we just calculated is insane and all. However, most of us, I would assume, want to get rich and still have our dignity intact. But that leaves you wondering, how can I do this online without doing anything crazy and still get an audience of people that wants to watch my content even though nobody currently knows I exist? Well, there is a solution for that, and it actually has even more potential than your average TikTok live. And the best part is, like I said, you don't have to beg, and hell, you don't even have to show your face. The solution I'm of course talking about is YouTube. And many of you have been asking me for the cheat codes on how to grow a channel. So I made a full-length video explaining my full story of how I blew up my very first videos on this channel to over 100k views and grew it from scratch. The link is on your screen right now, so if you're interested, go watch it and learn something. And as always, the dancehall has been decoded.